In May 1945, American soldiers entered one of the most horrifying places on Earth. The gates of Mauthausen concentration camp had finally been opened. The Nazi guards were gone. The war in Europe was ending. But inside the camp, the nightmare was far from over. 3 days after liberation, thousands of survivors were still trapped between life and death. Wooden barracks stood crowded with men who looked less like living people and more like shadows. Many had survived years of starvation, forced labor, beatings and disease under the Nazi regime during World War II. The smell inside the camp was unbearable. Death hung in the air. Bodies still lay near the barracks. The ground was soaked with mud, sickness and human suffering. Some prisoners were too weak to stand. Others sat silently outside, staring into the sky as if they could not understand what freedom even meant anymore. American soldiers who had survived brutal combat across Europe later admitted nothing prepared them for what they saw inside Mauthausen. Hardened men, soldiers who had witnessed war, explosions and death, stood speechless in front of prisoners who looked like living skeletons. Some troops openly cried. Near the center of the camp, American field kitchens began serving thin soup and broth. For many survivors, it was the first warm food they had received in days. The smell of soup drifting through the cold air became something almost unbelievable. Hope. Medical teams moved quickly through the camp. Doctors and medics treated infected wounds, starvation, frostbite, tuberculosis, and typhus. But saving lives was not simple. Many prisoners had been starved for so long that eating too much too quickly could kill them. Every meal had to be carefully controlled. Even freedom itself had become dangerous. Some survivors could barely speak. Years of fear and trauma had buried words deep inside them, but they watched the American soldiers carefully. The soldiers handed them food without violence. They spoke without screaming. They offered blankets instead of punishment. For prisoners who had lived under constant terror, simple kindness felt unfamiliar. One young American medic reportedly knelt beside a survivor and helped clean infected wounds using fresh water and sterile cloth. To most people, it was a small act. Inside Mauthausen, it felt like the return of human dignity itself. As night fell over the camp, something strange happened. For the first time in years, there were no barking Nazi commands, no beatings, no roll calls shouted in terror. Only quiet voices, the sound of spoons against metal bowls, military trucks arriving with medicine and blankets, and somewhere inside that silence, survivors slowly began to realize something almost impossible. They were safe, but liberation did not erase the horror. The scars of Mauthausen would remain forever. Many survivors lost entire families. Many would carry trauma for the rest of their lives, because freedom was not the end of their suffering. It was only the beginning of learning how to live again after surviving hell. If this story moved you, make sure to subscribe for more forgotten and disturbing moments from history.